Welcome to another Compassion Works for All video. And this video is another that I'm hoping that parents and children will watch together. And it is to share some thoughts about helping our children find inner balance and peace and harmony, and how to handle those times when their emotions are a little too intense and they can't seem to get them back in balance, or when they have been doing something that has caused stress or problems for others or for themselves. A lot of doctors and parenting experts through the years have differed, especially during the last 50 years or so, about how to handle children's temper tantrums or emotional meltdowns or misbehavior. And there's been a lot of thought about putting a child in the timeout or in their room. And now, with additional brain research and very compelling studies that show that stress, especially in infants when they're left alone to cry and to cry themselves out in distress, and even for children who are older, the capacity of the brain to handle that stress is not great enough, and the child produces too much stress hormone, and the brain then is compromised in its ability to grow. And also, as the infant's brain especially, but later in the older child, as their brain grows new neurons and then prunes them away, if the child is under too much stress, then the template for the healthy brain is not laid down, and the child has a lot harder time learning to soothe themselves and to find balance and harmony, and to be a relaxed and happy child. So here is some thoughts that you might try with your child. And the first thing we'll say is, if you have a newborn or a tiny baby less than 2 years old, I would suggest that it is not a good practice to let that child scream and cry longer than a few minutes without going and picking them up and rocking them and soothing them and then laying them back down. Certainly not any longer than 5 minutes. And do not lay them down and let them cry for a half hour or longer, hoping that they'll cry themselves out and go to sleep. They need that time with a parent coming back and telling them that everything is all right and soothing them and helping them go to sleep, so that they can incorporate that capacity to soothe themselves and learn how to handle stresses, or there may actually be something wrong that they need help with, like an upset tummy. Now, for an older child, and some of you children that are listening with your mom and dad, make this a project that you can do together, because everybody gets upset and everybody has bad days and everybody has meltdowns. But what we want everybody to learn to do is to handle these distresses in a way that does not make things worse and helps everybody feel better. I see people all the time who are creating more stress for themselves, for grown-ups, and for children. And it's almost so common in families that people just don't even think that there's another way. But here's another way. When a child is upset or distressed or has had a hard time, first of all, take that child into your lap, even if it takes a little extra time. And the decision together that you're making is that you will sit quietly and not say anything. Even if the child is crying, you'll just rock and snuggle, and parents, help to align your breathing with the child's breathing. So while you're holding them, you are relaxing and learning to breathe together. Then, after about a minute of being quiet, or a little longer, and having that be a snuggling time, a warm and soothing time, then asking the child, if they're old enough to talk, what happened. And let the child tell you what happened and what upset them, without criticism, without correction, without telling them they were wrong or bad, just what happened. And when they're done talking, even if it's blaming somebody else or getting some anger out, then we play a game, and it's called the what if game. And the what if game is, what if everyone, every time, responded the way the child responded? So let's imagine that they took their brother's toy away, and their brother punched him back, and they cried and got angry and started a fight. So brother is okay in the other room, but the child with the meltdown, we sit and we rock, and then we ask what happened, and they tell the story about brother, and then we play what if. What if every time you wanted something, you took it? What if Mommy and Daddy did that to each other? What if you did that in school? And you can even have some fun and joke around with your what ifs. What if the president went up to some important person and said, "I want your hat," and took it and walked away wearing it? Or what if people were taking things they wanted just willy-nilly and everybody was punching people out? And of course, little by little, the message gets through that what actually happened was not the best way to handle a situation. Parents do not need to give a lecture. Nobody needs to say who is wrong or bad. Nobody needs to scold. But the child very quickly gets the message, and they can come up with a better solution. So you start with rocking, and then what happened, and then what if. And usually spontaneously the child will share their better solution. You don't have to give too much teachings. They can figure it out. Now, what if your child's a bit rambunctious and a little wild Indian and does not want to sit quietly in your lap? You can give them a choice. Would you like to sit in your room for just a minute before I come in and rock with you? Or would you like to have time out for a minute before I come over and rock with you? Or do you want to just sit and rock for a minute? Let them have a little autonomy and a little choice. The goal we're looking for is for the child to find inner balance and harmony, first of all, in a little meditation time, and secondly, to connect with their thinking so that they can leave their emotional, often hyper emotional response and begin to think. This is an invaluable tool for the rest of our lives. We all have trouble having an emotion arise and learning to think instead of react. If we can help our child learn this when they're little, they will do so much better. So our steps again: holding and rocking and breathing in harmony, then asking what happened without any comments or criticisms or scoldings, and then what if, and just be silly and have fun and think of all the what ifs you can think of. And in the end, if the child comes up with an answer of something to do instead, applaud them for that. So thank you so much for being such wonderful parents and wonderful kids and wanting to work together on having a happy, harmonious relationship. Please watch all of our Compassion Works for All videos and go to our website at compassionworksforall.org.